Hi, this is Peter Godinez, your community ambassador, and believe it or not, we're here in Oxnard in Larry Stein's backyard. It's beautiful, and I'm taking a picture of it right now. Just absolutely beautiful view. And so we have the good pleasure of being able to talk to and listen to, I'll call him Larry Stein, but the whole name is Lawrence Paul Stein. And Larry is running for District 5 in the Oxnard area. And Larry, describe where we are right now.
Well, I'm on the adjacent of a green belt, 800 acres of agricultural land behind my house. It's not my land, it's behind my house. If you look in the background, we actually have fracking taking place. We're on top of a gas field as well as the underground aquifer. There's lots of, I have one adjacent neighbor, a neighborhood of 3,000 homes, but 800 acres of backland that's not going to be built for the next 35 plus years.
And this is the Lemonwood area.
This is Lemonwood. This house was built in 1971. I've lived in this house since 1988.
Larry, give us a little biography about yourself.
Well, I got a degree in business administration from Ohio University in organizational behavior and manpower management. And one of the first jobs I had was selling chickens. I was a relief manager for a chain of Kentucky Fried Chicken stores. So people have to go on vacation, so I'd cover the managers. So there were 12 stores, 24 managers, a week and a half per store, rotate around. That's what I did for a year after working for McDonald's for 6.5 years. I became a computer programmer after I didn't like selling chickens. I was a computer programmer for 10 years, back in the 70s and 80s. I saw the industry change, went back to school, became a computer programmer. I couldn't get a job with a CPA firm because I didn't pass the CPA examination. I was in my 40s at that point in time. So I sold software from door to door, from Godinez to Sylmar, try to install accounting systems for small businesses. That's what I did for 10 years. I was a small-time accountant for businesses, coming in for half a day, 2 days a week. One of the companies I did the work for was here in Oxnard, where we made electric buses for 7 years. We made electric buses here in Oxnard. These buses were used at the Olympics in Atlanta. They're still being run in Santa Monica, Burbank.
Now, I just met a VIP of yours, and so you need to talk to us a little bit about your bride.
The boss. The
Okay.
boss is the president of St. Anthony's Women's Council. That makes me the husband of the president of the Women's Council, which means I do a lot of moving things around on Sundays and other days. She raises money for the local church by crocheting all day long with a group of other women. So we do about 5 or 6 boutiques a year. And on Mother's Day, I sell corsages for life centers.
So Larry, we know that public service is hard and consuming and does take a lot of time, emotion, things like that. So why public service for yourself, Larry?
Well, I got less than happy about certain situations. I see things going on in the city that could be done better. I raise issues, and I feel I get ignored. I ask questions, don't get answers. And the primary reason why I'm running for city council this time is because I've asked some questions, I'm not getting answers. And more importantly, I was promised answers by the city manager. The city manager refused to answer the questions I asked. So I'm running this time to get answers to my questions, but the assistant city manager said point blankly, the only way I'm going to get answers to my questions is if I get elected. So I'd like the public to elect me for city council so I can get their questions answered as well as mine.
What are some of the key objectives that you would be focusing on, again, if elected?
I'd like to see some of our monies reallocated. They constantly hear from city staff that we don't have the money. We don't have the money. We have $130 million in general fund, but we don't have the money. We do have the money, it's just not being allocated the way I like to see allocated. Public safety is very, very important. We have a lot of committed people working for the city whose job is protect and serve. But there are other ways of serving the community, and perhaps some money can be reduced from public safety to be more proactively used. For example, we talk about homelessness, we talk about the drug abuse, we talk about domestic violence. Police officers are here to protect and serve. They don't have the skills necessary to solve some of these problems, but people in social services, people with master's degrees in social work, MSWs, perhaps help in resolving some of these issues. If we had 10 or 15 public service workers working as social workers with their MSWs, perhaps these people, in conjunction with the police department, can help resolve and reduce domestic violence, help the people who are homeless, help the people who have drug problems, and help them resolve the issues so the police officers don't work so hard. Because they're working hard, they're trying to do the best jobs they can, but sometimes don't have the skill sets other people have. We should perhaps tap into some of the resources in the police department and help fund our social work programs so we can be more proactive and less reactive to social issues in our community.
What are some of the key things that you will do to change and improve just what you said in regards to the finances?
I like to raise awareness, not just to myself, but to our city council members and the public. People get bored with numbers. I talk about a number being so much, that means nothing to them. Head counts means nothing to them. When it comes to the budget, head counts is very, very important. We have so many positions that are being budgeted but not filled. What does that mean? Well, that means money's being set aside to pay people to do jobs, but those people aren't being hired. What happens to the money? And that is a $20 question. What is happening to the money that's being budgeted for positions that aren't being filled? I think some of this money can be reallocated on a one-time basis to help fix our parks, perhaps pay for canine units, because we buy a canine that it can help reduce the stress for our police officers when they get involved in domestic violence situations. An average police dog will cost $10,000 to $15,000, but it's a one-time purchase for the actual animal and training. So the police dog can service the community for 5 to 7 years. That'd be an investment in our community to help make public safety an easier and safer job for our sworn officers. Yes, it means cutting into the budget, but I think it provides the community with better service and helps protect the community better than we're doing things now.
Let me ask this, you were talking about awareness. What would be specific techniques, strategies, methodologies to keep the public informed of facts and simple facts where they can understand?
This is one of the biggest problems we have. These small issues we don't really hear about because people just talk about amongst themselves and they don't have the time to come before city council. The city council does not want to necessarily listen to them. A city manager wants to restructure city council meetings. He wants to have our city council meetings on Tuesdays throughout the day. Is the public really be able to participate in this? I don't think so. City council meetings need to be restructured. If we have our meat and potatoes meetings on Tuesdays, we have a public hearings and staff reports every Tuesday night. Another thing that takes up time are closed session items. We have these on Tuesday evenings before city council meetings, but sometimes these closed sessions run longer than anticipated, pushing back the timeline. If we had our closed session meetings on Mondays in the afternoons and not take time away from staff from their normal duties, perhaps we could be more effective Tuesday nights in having effectively run meetings. Our staff loves using PowerPoints. It was brought up last week that perhaps our staff can make the presentation in advance, putting these presentations on the internet so we don't have to spend 20 minutes watching a PowerPoint presentation that's going to be observed prior to the meeting. Another issue is not everybody has the internet. There are many people in this community that do not have computers. So the internet access is not available to everybody in this community. And most of these documents are in English.
So why Larry?
I've been involved in city activities for 25 plus years. I've gone to city council meetings, I've raised issues. Other people running for District 5 are not as frequent visitors to city council meetings, planning commission meetings, school board meetings. Yes, they're involved in the community, but they've not attended these meetings. I've not only attended meetings, I've made presentations. Very few people know the presentations I've made. At one point in time, I did a 10-minute presentation on the ABC licensing. Again, I'm familiar with issues in the city. I've been involved in community activities for 25 plus years. I was a former chairman of this neighborhood. As a former member of the INCO, I actually served for a year on the College Park Advisory Committee. I've attended numerous attempts to sit on the community action groups. I was not selected by a city mayor. I did serve on the first URAP committee. I talked about our utility issues. I have a certain set of standards I think that I was chosen for as one of the reasons why I'm an insurance auditor, because the ethics I bring, not just because I have to, because it's part of my body, it's part of me, being as ethical as I possibly can and try to bring the truth and light to the community.
Thank you so much for spending this time with me. And I want to just turn to the audience and just say, let's get out and vote. And you have 3 ways to vote, as I say after all these interviews. There's the going to your poll, so make sure you put it on the calendar. And Larry, as I say, don't forget the day before and goes, oh my gosh, I forgot to vote. Again, mail it in if that's your choice. Or something I think is real fun is just go down to the county center and vote. Maybe say hello to Mark Lund and all the friendly people out there. And this is Peter Godinez, your community ambassador. Until next time.